Hello, guys. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today we're actually going to be facing Dynamo Zagreb in the Champions League, and the match is at home. Dynamo Zagreb is coming to the Emirates Stadium, and yesterday we had Mikel Arteta actually have a presser. Where he talked about what is going to be happening in the match, likely things that will be happening in the match. We all know that we have been ravaged by injury. We have had a lot of injury problems. How is Arteta or how is Mikel Arteta, you know, planning ahead of that match? But luckily for the manager, he has some injury boost already. The news serving around yesterday is that Ricardo Califiori as well as Nwaneri actually available and they are back in training, which is some really very good news. And they will likely be featuring today in the Champions League. So what that means immediately is that we are not going to be seeing Partey play two. We are actually not going to be seeing Partey play two. We are going to be seeing, Partey in the midfield to help with the transition. Because in my last video, that was actually the things I talked about. That I understand that we have been very unlucky with injury, but at the same time, we all need to actually give Jacob Kiwior some opportunity, some chance to be able to, play as well. But, many of the comments I get are that Jacob Kiwior is not as strong. He's a player that is easily bullied. And the reason why I'm saying it is actually because the result did not go against us. So if the results were to have gone were to have gone in favor of us, I would have been saying, a different thing entirely. Maybe that yeah, we don't need Kiwior or something like that. So that said, Arteta yesterday had a presser, and in the presser he talked about some very very important things ahead of the match today. And before I go into Arteta's presser, we actually need to talk about the matches that happened yesterday in the UEFA Champions League. I mean, yesterday was a very very interesting day because there were some fantastic matches that happened yesterday. And the matches that we have AS Monaco, at home, hosting Aston Villa, and the Aston Villa actually lost that match by 1 goal to 0. We have Atlanta facing Storm Grads. Atlanta won by 5 goals to 0. We have Atlanta Bayern, 2-1 to Atlanta. Benfica Barcelona, that was really, really a very, very serious match. I mean, the score ended 4-5 in favor of Barcelona. Barcelona won away at Benfica, and the score was 4-5. Rafinha really, really, really put in some top class performances yesterday. And there are a host of other matches as well. Bologna, Borussia Dortmund 2-1, Club Brugge, Juventus 0-0, FK, Krevna, Zvezda, and the PSV Eindhoven. PSV won that by 3 goals to 2. Liverpool 2-1 in favor. Liverpool actually hosted Lille yesterday and they won 2-1. Then Slovan Bratislava won. Stuttgart 3. So of course that's now plays today. Yesterday we had many games yesterday that had really good goals. The only game yesterday that didn't have any goal yet was just Club Brugge versus the Juventus. So coming back to what really matter for Arsenal fan, and that is talking about Arsenal. Our penultimate Champions League phase game against Dynamo Zagreb. Mikel Arteta in his usual press conference at the Sober Reality Training, he was asked about the fitness of our squad, the possibilities of booking a spot in the last eight, what is made of Fabio Cannavaro's appointment, and that's much more. So here is what our manager really had to say. So the very first question that was asked yesterday, of course, has to do with updates on our injury. That what's up with Califiori and Nwaneri, as they're actually back in training. So Mikel responded and saying that it is very positive news. We have missed them for the few weeks and they return today to training, so they will be available for the game. So it is really good to know that, I mean, just like I've mentioned at the start of the video, that Califiori and Nwaneri are actually back. It gives us some depth, and as well now it gives us some leverage, because at least now we can probably have somebody that can play the position of Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka is missed, but at least I believe Nwaneri is going to step up and play the position of Bukayo Saka. You see, this is why I said it in my last video, that Arsenal is not going to make any transfer this January. I have said it before. Arsenal is not going to make any transfer this January. If you have been supporting Arsenal for too long, you will know this is the best thing that can happen in the news. Our players returning back from injury, or our players returning back ahead of time. That is what will happen. But saying that Arsenal will sign Cunha, Arsenal will sign, this one, that one. Arsenal is not going to sign anybody. The earlier you know, the better it is for you. So that is that on Califiori and Nwaneri, because really those two guys are actually going to help to boost back our squad. Nwaneri playing the seven, and Martinelli playing 11. Then probably in the midfield we can rotate between Havertz and then Trossard. I would have loved to see Trossard play as a nine, maybe as a first now as a nine. Then in the midfield we have the usual, we have Declan Rice, we have Odegaard as well as Thomas Partey. Then in our defense, playing our two, we have either no, in fact, now the way we are just going to have it now, because I don't know if Saliba is going to be available today. So the way we are going to have it as of today is that we are going to have Lewis Kelly play as a three. Then we have Timber and Gabriel play both 5 and 6. Then on the two, we have who is just returning now. We have okay, so maybe Califiori actually play as a defender. Then we have Timber play as a two. So maybe that's exactly how it's going to work. Then they went ahead to ask him questions on William Saliba's condition. He responded by saying that he's evolving well. The last few days he was feeling much better already, but this game comes a little bit too early. So we all know that Saliba has an hamstring injury, and the hamstring injury has kept him away for about some games. There was a particular video I made where I talked about the number of matches he's going to miss. He's going to miss Wolves, Dynamo Zagreb, and probably also miss as much match as up to Man City. But I hope he doesn't miss the Man City match. So on the players training to music. So there is a culture at Arsenal where recently, I think whenever they are having a training at the Sober Reality Training Center, Arteta plays some music. I think the music has to do with, the kind of music they hear at the grounds they want to go and play at. So he responded by saying that that is something that we have done for many years now, and it is part of the training. Okay, we use music as another element of our training session to build the energy and change certain purposes that we want in the training session, and I think the players enjoy it. So that is that on that. Now, Arsenal has always been going for playoffs. Oftentimes we go to do, should I say, some sort of holidays or something like that. And he's asked questions on whether we will head for, warm weather training if we skip the playoff rounds. He actually said, my thinking is, let's do what we have to do. Let's do what we have to do first, which is always difficult because we are talking about the Champions League. If we manage to do that, we will have the best ideas on the table to make the right decision. So, of course, we are in the Champions League already for this week. This week is all about the Champions League until the weekend that will face Wolves in the English Premier League. So, I mean, is that the Champions League is quite hard. We all know how hard the Champions League is, no doubt about that. We know it is not so easy to win in the Champions League, and because of that, Mikel Arteta is simply saying that let us focus first on the important things in the Champions League. Then, when we are able to win in the Champions League, for example, maybe in our match today, which will take us back to third on the Champions League table, because the only team that has had the maximum points in the Champions League table is actually Liverpool. Liverpool have 100% record in the Champions League. I think they have played 7 and they are currently on 21 points. while we are on, I think, 14 or 15 points. I can't remember now. So going on, another questions was asked that, on our break, making a difference last season. Because if you remember last season, I've always talked about this. There was a time we went to Dubai, and that Dubai trip was actually a very, very good trip because as at the time we went to Dubai, our players were able to recuperate. They were able, and when we returned back was when we actually played the whole of the second part of the whole season, and we only lost one match to Aston Villa. Although that match became very decisive in the title race because the match was actually the reason why we are unable to pick up the EPL last year. So he was asked that, on our break making a difference last season. And he responded by saying that it was very helpful, and with the schedule that we have had for the last 3 months, you can have a break, reset a little bit and work on things and rest some people. While some people are back, that would be great. So I think we need to actually have that break. I don't know how it's going to be possible because I think our schedule is tighter. I think our fixtures is actually, fixed up. But anyways, Arsenal and Arteta will find a way to do that. On whether he's enjoying the transfer window, he says I love it. That is the only thing I have to say about that. He says I love it, but I mean he's going to love it because we're actually not getting any players. You shouldn't be disappointed about that already. So on whether he laughs when he sees us linked with many strikers. So this is really really very important question because we need to see how Arteta visualizes or transfer things and the rumors and everything like that. Because what is being asked here is that on whether he laughs when he sees us linked with many strikers, is that how does he react to rumors? How does he react to we are being linked to Sesco, we are being linked to this, we are being linked to that. So he says I understand it happens. In the summers, I had a lot of people texting me saying, you are after him. And sometimes I don't even know what they are talking about. I don't follow that too much. I have enough work to do and we have got a lot of things on, so I don't get distracted by it. So he's actually saying that he doesn't follow the rumor. He is not really interested in, how for example, the player that we are linked with, or if you think we're actually linked with any player, that is actually not interested in that. What he's interested in is that, he needs to focus on his job because he's quite a busy person. All these things you are hearing from the manager is because the manager himself knows that we are not actually getting anybody and he doesn't want to commit himself. Because ordinarily, I think if you're actually going to be getting someone in that situation, you could have maybe pointed out to one of the real rumors that are actually available in the transfer market. If Arsenal is a big club, if you want to buy any player, you can say it out loud that you want to buy this player. Nothing is going to happen about that. Nothing is going to happen about that. It will not change anything about that transfer. I mean, before you even say it, you would have probably reached out to the club or the player and have a personal agreement with the player, then talk to the club about making a transfer. So, what is the big deal? What is the big deal in actually saying that okay, we are linked with this person, we are linked with this person, we are not linked with this person, but because we are not getting anybody. So another question is on whether Saliba will be back for our Manchester City game. I talked about this. I said Saliba is going to miss, many matches, just like the way he missed Aston Villa. He's going to miss today's one against Dynamo Zagreb. He's going to miss against Wolves. Then we have some other matches in between. I can't really remember. I think we have a Champions League as well. Then after that we are actually playing Manchester City. So the question was asked to Mikel Arteta on whether Saliba will be back for our Manchester City game. And what he has to say is yes, I hope so. Yes. On if the music in training changes depending on how to inspire our player. So he responded by saying that yes, depending on the day, sometimes certain players pick certain songs. Okay, in this case now it's actually songs. The first songs, the first two songs, the last songs is the same as in the dressing room, really. So now we have some vital players currently on loan. Now we have Fabio Vieira and we have Reus Nelson. Although right now Reus Nelson is injured, he has been shipped away to Fulham, on loan. Now he was asked a question on if Fabio Vieira and Reus Nelson could be recalled. So he responded by saying that there were certain possibilities with Fabio's situation. We are exploring all of the things that we can do, just in case we cannot do them as well, how the injuries are progressing, and when we are going to have them available. So these are very uncertain things. These are very uncertain. He's saying that, Fabio Vieira, you understand that he might be coming back, but he's not speaking in certainty. He's just saying that, with the injury that we have and all that, blah, 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 nothing serious is really going to happen if they cannot bring them in, you know. So, I mean, there were certain possibilities with Fabio's situation. We are exploring we are exploring all of the things that we can do just in case we cannot do them as well, how the injuries are progressing, and when we are going to have them available. So he didn't really say nothing serious about that. On how impressive it is to set Max Dallman training with the senior team. I mean, on how impressive it is to see Max Dallman training with the senior team. Very impressive at his age as well. Some of the things he does in training are unbelievable. He's a player with huge talent, and we have a lot of belief that we can develop him to become one of our own. He's doing really very well. So, who is Max Dorman? So, Max Dorman is actually a 15-year-old, Arsenal attacking midfielder. He plays for, our junior team. And, of course, this is the same space Lewis Kelly came from. This is the same space we have Nwaneri come from. So we have all of these young players coming from the academy to the first team. And right now, I think the person they are talking about is actually Max Dolman. 15 years old English footballer. He's really, really doing very well. He's improving. He's playing fine. And currently, he wears the number 99 right now. And by the time it comes to the first team, because we actually need these players now, I don't know if these guys are actually going to get us anywhere. But at least if we have them, maybe if they are really very good, maybe they can actually change the squad very quickly, just like the way we saw the change from Lewis Kelly as well as Etanu Nwaneri, the impact they have on the senior team. So if Max Towan is able to deliver on that, fine and good. So Mikel Arteta was asked a question about him, and that is what I just read out his response that at his age, some of the things he does in training are unbelievable. He's a player with huge talent, and we have a lot of belief that we can develop him to become one of our own. He's doing very well so far. So on the possible pathway for him to get minutes at senior level, then he responded by saying that at the moment, with all the legislation, there are a lot of restrictions for your age. Something There are a lot of restrictions for your age, something that in other countries we don't even mention. We will have to wait and see. He's taking very fast steps because every time you put him in a different challenge, a different level, you overcome that hurdles really quickly, which is great. So here, are we going to be seeing him in the first team? Mikel Arteta says it's quite difficult in England because of his age, of course. And that doesn't mean the player is not a good player because for every time he has been to a task to actually do some nice things in training or to actually prepare him for the senior team, he has been really, really doing fine. So on Dynamo Zagreb promotion of academic products, yes, incredible talent, what they have done for many, many years, very consistently as well. The type of football that they always play in a country with a very clear philosophy of how they want to play the game is going to be a very difficult match for us now. So, he was asked many other questions on whether he knows Eduardo da Silva from his playing days. He responded by saying that not really. We didn't play together. Obviously, he's a very familiar face with a specific history in certain moments as well. And it became very important and very loved here. Then, as you say, the career he had at Zagreb. So it's very good to see people coming back here with big smile on their faces. On if Saka, this is important. On if Saka will be available in March or before then. So he said, no, that is not going to change. It's within the process and the time that we had. That phase has gone now. He's doing really very well. He's feeling better day by day. but we have to respect the healing process. And then he has a lot of stages to go through in his rehab. See, this is why transfers are important. Right now, Nwaneri is back means the replacement for Saka is zero. Immediately, Arsenal will rule out the possibility of Nwaneri getting injured again and probably bringing in somebody that can actually step up. But no, Nwaneri is back and that is final. So because he's back, we are actually not going to be doing any transfer anymore. All this Konya, all this, just forget it. So on having Etano Nwaneri back, of course we all know having Etano Nwaneri back is a flex. It's really, really something that we all want to do. Say he said yes, it was a big setback because he was getting some consistency and more minutes. We made him play in different positions and he was doing really very well. Then suddenly this happened. It's understandable with loads as well. It's going through the roof immediately, and this is what we have to manage. So now there has been talks about how many times has Mikel Arteta repeated the squad this season. He was asked that question by the journalist, and he said, whatever I say will probably not be the right thing. But I think there was one or two I would be surprised. So he hasn't really, really, rotated the squad this season because there is even nothing much on rotation. So on the knock-on effect of moving players from midfield, Partey to right back, I've been very specific. I've been very vocal about this that I do not want to see Thomas Partey play as a right back. He's a midfielder for God's sakes. Mikel Arteta responded by saying that I had no choice. I didn't have another right back. Yuri and Timber. Sorry, I had no choice. I didn't have another right fullback. Yuri and Timber, nobody else. Who plays when Yuri and Timber? Who plays when Yuri isn't available or his load is too high? The other day was the first time he moved Yuri and Timber back in the center. But in relation to the way we have to play, we cannot have a right-footed player defending a right winger. I didn't have another right-sided center. So I think I get what you're saying here, that it's difficult to, because of the leg this player uses. For example, if you are using a right wing, you cannot mark a player that is also a right winger because he's coming to face you. So you need a left-footed person to be able to mark. You understand what I'm saying? So, and for the fact that he really doesn't have any other player because our squad is depleted, there is not about that. It makes it more difficult for Mikel Arteta to actually decide on who will be playing that. So I have been very critical about Kiwior not playing, but I think this is explaining that because of the leg Kiwior uses, it's difficult to put Kiwior in certain places on the field to be able to do certain things. So I wonder why Mikel is not really specific about all these things before he made these transfers, to be able to make sure that these players are versatile in these positions and I can actually play all of these positions. Anyways, this is that is the pressure, the roundup for Mikel Arteta. And today we are facing Dynamo Zagreb. What actually do you think the scoreline is going to be? Who do you think will win today? Do you think today we are going to win and we are going to go back to, being third on the Champions League table? And then we have automatic qualification, because if we win today, obviously we have automatic qualification. That means so far we would have been able to gather how many points? So we are currently on 13 points. So if we win today, we will be on 17 points and we will be third after Barcelona. So Liverpool has 21 points. Barcelona has 18 points. Arsenal would have 17 points. Arsenal would have 17 points. So that is exactly what I want today. That's exactly how I plan. That's how I hope, today would go. So, guys, please drop your comments. What do you think about today's match? And what do you think about Arteta's press? Now that we have a boost already in our squad, we are likely to see many of our players returning, which is good, which is going to make us stronger. So, thank you so much. Please remember to comment in the comment section, like and share my video. And thank you for watching my video.